So in this series today, we have CA Vignesh ji with us. He is from Doha chapter. Although today we are going to discuss about the Qatar, what kind of opportunities for CAs are there and what kind of regulations and framework design in that country. The purpose of doing this session to make ourselves Indian chartered accountant about such regulations, so that whenever any Indian chartered accountant want to do practice there and want to go there and want to settle there, so he has a basic idea of the things, because somehow chapters are the wings of the ICI and we all are part of ICI. So we are using this facility, using the knowledge of our fellow brothers to make all of understand. Before starting introduction of our today's guest speaker, I would like my friend CA Gaurav Garg. Please give a formal welcome address and welcome our participant and guest both. Over to Gaurav.
A very good evening to all of you and a very warm welcome to the chairman of Doha chapter, CA Vignesh Kalyan Arunji. Vignesh bhai, a very warm welcome at the platform of Northern India Regional Council. It is
My
good to
pleasure.
see fellow brothers who are, raising flag outside India today at the platform of Vignesh, at the platform of NIRC. And also Sangam bhai, who is the moderator for today's webinar. And on record, I must say, when I visited Doha, chapter few weeks back. Vignesh ji and his entire team was wonderful host, and probably one day I will also get the opportunity to host you, Vignesh, by in Delhi at the Northern India Regional Council. Uh, and I must say that Doha, I was able to see a lot of opportunities in Doha and Qatar, which we're going to hear today from the chairman of Doha chapter, Vignesh ji. And without taking much of a time, I know you all are here to listen to Vignesh ji. So Sangam ji, over to you for taking session further.
Thank you so much, Chairman Gaurav Garg ji. He is live from the Amritsar. Thank you so much, sir. So, friends, as I told you that today we are going to discuss in detail about the opportunities for CAs and regulation and framework, especially for the Qatar. For that, today we have very learned speaker, CA Vignesh ji. Currently, he is the chairman of the Doha chapter of ICI, and Vignesh is a chartered accountant, certified internal auditor, and a certified information system auditor with over 16 years of global experience. He is director of at Protivity and focus on risk advisory and intelligent automation and analytical solutions. He has vast global experience across India, Middle East, Europe, Japan, South Asia, Africa, Europe, and American, assisting client solving business challenges. He has engaged with large multinational entities in assisting them enhance the transform their functions. He believes that the gap between business and technology is narrowing by the day by day is the imperative of the professional to embrace technology to stay relevant. Vignesh is a regular speaker and associate with the global audit and risk associations. He enjoys traveling, visiting, and learning different culture. He is a avid reader and enjoying playing table tennis. So, friends, this is a brief profile of Vignesh ji. I will not going much further detail about that. But friends, I would like to request, because in the coming month also we are going to do 2 and 3 session at least in the month of January with different chapter to make you understand about the regulation in that countries. So please stay tuned with us. And this program is live at YouTube as well, friends. If you later on you want to refer any of the discussion, you can go to the YouTube channel of NIRC. You will get there. And I humbly request my all the participants kindly ask your question in Q&A only, because that will assist us in asking and taking a question sequentially. With this note, I request today's guest speaker, C. Vignesh ji, to take this session forward. Over to you, Vignesh ji.
Thank you, CA Sangam, CA Gaurav, and Team NIRC. It is indeed my pleasure, to be with all of you, speak to you, and share my thoughts. As Gaurav mentioned, we are here as one chartered accountant team. Though in India or globally, we want to. जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं झंडे उगाड़ने हैं, and we are here, be it in Qatar, be it in, and that's how we work as overseas chapters as well. We collaborate a lot, and it was lovely to have Gaurav in Doha a couple of weeks ago as well. thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all about opportunities in Qatar. I will also touch upon opportunities in the region in the Middle East, though focusing more on Qatar. You may ask me any questions, put in the Q&A at a later stage in terms of the Middle East or Qatar in general, and I'm happy to support. Before I put on my slide, I just wanted to also bring you all up to speed in terms of what we're going to look into today. We're going to first talk about what is Qatar, why Qatar, if you all know about the background of Qatar, then talk about the tax structure and the economy of the state of Qatar, then move on to regulations that would apply to us, then the opportunities for us as chartered accountants over there, and lastly, we'd also want to share with you what we as Doha chapter of ICAI can help you if you're looking at Qatar as a place where you would like to practice or work or carry out your trade. So without further taking much more time, let me share my presentation for a moment. Sangam, is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible. Yes, sir. Perfectly.
All right. So yeah, as I said, we're going to be talking about the professional opportunities, regulatory framework, and the tax structure. The state of Qatar, it's a very small country. It's a country in the Middle East or in the Gulf, the GCC that all of us speak about. I know everybody talks about Dubai when it comes to the GCC, but I'm sure come 2022, when the World Cup was held in Qatar, everybody started knowing what was Qatar. Well, just to let you all know, it is a founding member of the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is a cooperation council, a union of 6 countries in the GCC, in the Arab world. It's a very small country. As I said, it's a peninsula of 11,000 square kilometers, probably much smaller than many of the states in India. It's a constitutional monarchy. It's a population of 3 million or 30 lakhs, as I may say, mostly, and the local population is only 10%. So the remaining is expat. And as you would notice, today, in the Indian community is the largest expat community over there. We're close to 7.5 lakhs Indians in Qatar today and growing by the day. The Indian community is well regarded and respected for the knowledge that we bring to the table, be it as chartered accountants, as doctors, engineers, or various other professions. Qatar holds a very important position in the region and has been well known on the world stage of late. So why Qatar, and what would bring you your thoughts into why you would want to consider Qatar as a location for opportunity or as a location where you would like to ply your trade? Firstly, let me move. It's a stable currency. The Qatari riyal is pegged to the US dollar and is driven by an oil and gas economy. So the currency is very stable. It does not fluctuate a lot. It is pegged to the dollar, and against other currencies as well, it hasn't fluctuated much. So in the sense, you do know what you're earning, and you do know that you're not going to lose in terms of exchange losses. It's a very progressive economy, though the economy, as I will touch upon later, is driven majorly by oil and gas, just like any other economy in that region. Most of the countries in that region are looking to diversify and see to areas other than oil and gas where they can progress. It's a very cosmopolitan environment. As I said, 90% of the country is expat. So we have over 123 nationalities living in Qatar in such a small area. So you can think about it. So there was actually a world record that was held of the maximum number of nationalities that did yoga in Yoga Day about a year ago, and that was done in Qatar. So we have over 113 nationalities right now living in the state of Qatar. So it's a very cosmopolitan environment. As we would all say, it is home away from home. It's not too far from India. At any point in time, it's a 3.5-4 hour flight to anywhere in India. You get everything that you get in India, you get in Qatar, but at the same time you also get the other part, the international exposure and the exposure to various other cultures that you see in Qatar, because you tend to work with people from multiple nationalities. You tend to work with people from multiple cultures and backgrounds, and that actually is a great learning, and that has been a great learning for me personally. It is a investment-friendly, progressive country. Though it is very rich in terms of per capita income, it still wants to attract more and more investment into the country. Qatar itself invests outside. It's got one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, and it owns big properties, sports clubs, and airlines all over the world. Half of London is owned by Qatar. That's what we always joke. But at the same time, it also wants to attract people and professionals into the country to help the country grow as well. Global outreach and connectivity. Along with Dubai, Doha is one of the best connected cities or cities in that region. You can fly to any part of the world from Doha very easily. The national airlines, Qatar Airways, is connected all over the world. And that actually helps the economy because it attracts people from anywhere to easily reach the country. The most important, and which I'm sure all of you would love to hear, is the taxation part. It's zero personal tax. What you see on paper is what you get in hand as an employee. Compensations are generally higher than what you see in India, but at the same time, you also need to consider that the cost of living is also higher. But at the same time, yes, your disposable income and your savings would probably be slightly more than what you get back home. But there's a price to pay. You stay outside as well. But these are the things that you would consider apart from the professional parts and opportunities when you look at why Qatar and not some other country that would be there. Most of the countries in the region provide all of this. And for a family life, let me tell you, I have a family. It's a wonderful place. Education-wise, from a social gathering purpose, everything is very open. I know people have doubts in terms of safety, in terms of culture. It's a slightly conservative country, but other than that, everything is available. Let's move on to the economy of the country. As I said, it's one of the richest countries in the world per capita. Close to about $93,000 is a per capita income. The GDP for the state of Qatar is US dollar 267 billion, which is about 2.5% growth from year on year. And this country declares a surplus budget every year, despite various challenges being the geopolitical challenges, despite oil price challenges. The country continues to declare surplus budgets. We are still in the understanding of deficit budgets back home in India, but this country continues to declare surplus budgets primarily because it is run by the major revenue, which is oil and gas. Unlike other countries in that region, Qatar is more natural gas driven than oil driven. It is the third largest natural gas producer in the world, in the sense that the reliance on oil is much lesser in Qatar as compared to the countries like, say, Saudi Arabia or the UAE. What does that help? It helps that this nation is one among the top 3 in being self-reliant to drive the economy, at least for the next 50, 60 years, in clean energy, which is natural gas. The 2024 budget was approved just a couple of days ago, and it's again a surplus budget. It's a $10 billion surplus budget, much lesser than what it was last year, but again, it's a surplus budget. The country plans to diversify. It's always looked at itself as a knowledge economy, a sports economy, a sports hub of the world. I'm not sure how many of you attended the FIFA World Cup in 2022. I was there. It was an amazing lifetime experience, believe me. It put Qatar on the map, on the world stage, and everybody came to see how smoothly that entire world event was conducted. The country is ranked one of the safest in the world. Year on year, Numbeo, which does a survey on the safest countries in the world, has ranked Qatar in the top 3 year on year, and it is very, very safe from as a country. Crime rates are very, very low, and at the same time, so that in itself means that it is very safe for all of us to bring our families and stay in this country. It's a knowledge-driven economy. The country encourages a lot of universities. It encourages libraries. It encourages knowledge-related industries to drive one part of the key factor within the growth of the country. There's a lot of focus on sports. It wants to consider itself as the hub of sports. Till recently, there was not much competition on this, but now Saudi Arabia has emerged as another competitor to Qatar in this region. And you would notice major world sports events being conducted in these countries, be it the World Cup, be it Formula One, or the only thing probably that we haven't had in Qatar, which we have had in Dubai, is the Cricket World Cup. The country is driven by the National Vision 2030. We all thought, what's in store for the country after the World Cup 2022? There was a lot of opportunity till the World Cup. Businesses grew, economy grew. Then everybody was wondering what is the country going to go down? What's the vision? But then came the National Vision 2030, which aims at transforming the country into an advanced country by 2030, capable of sustaining its development and providing a high standard of living for its entire people for generations to come. This national vision, when you read through it, talks about focus on healthcare, focus on diversified sectors of economy. It talks about education as the growth areas for the country. Medical services in Qatar is one of the best in the region. It is still almost free for everybody, including expats and the locals alike. When I say free, I mean the government's medical services. The private medical services are, of course, chargeable. And at the same time, it also shows that the country is looking forward towards moving ahead from oil and gas to other sectors. This gives opportunity for us chartered accountants to look at helping the growth of the country, the diversification of the country, and supporting the growth of the country in all these diverse fields. Any of us that has experience in each of these other industries would look at this as a great opportunity for us to serve and help the growth of Qatar. Before I move on to the corporate tax structure, since we spoke about health and healthcare, and we also spoke about education. Let me talk about education. Most of the world's big universities are establishing their branches in Qatar, which means that they see it's in Qatar an opportunity to set up their base. And they see that this country's focus is really interested in focusing on the education sector. Healthcare, COVID was handled in the best possible way in this country. It was one of the first to react in the region. Vaccines were, of course, provided free of cost to everybody, and at the same time had the lowest, what if I may say, death rates in the region. Now, moving on, let's look at the tax structure. I think one of the key interests as chartered accountants is tax. The country has corporate tax. So corporate tax exists, be it the setup of organizations or inland, which is through the Ministry of Commerce and Economy. I will touch upon that. Or if an organization is set up offshore through the special economic zones like the Qatar Financial Center, you would still have corporate tax. The tax rates vary depending on the nature of business, but roughly it's in the nature of 10%. Personal income tax, absolute no. It is zero. What you see is what you get. As employees, you don't pay any tax in this country, and we don't see anything happening on this in the near future. Value-added tax, there was a proposed value-added tax framework that was signed in 2016 in the GCC, where all countries, member states, had signed up for establishing the VAT. As you may be aware, UAE, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia came up with the value-added tax a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, in fact. Qatar, in fact, is still a country which does not have VAT, which means that this is definitely something that we believe would be coming very soon. So just as we saw or looked at the experience that we saw in the UAE and in Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of opportunity for chartered accountants to assist in terms of VAT. I hear and I see what my friends back in India did when the GST law was introduced. It is similar in the sense it's not as complicated, but it is definitely an opportunity area where chartered accountants can play a significant role when it comes to value-added tax in the state of Qatar. When it is going to come, we ourselves are not clear, but the expectation is that it would come in 2024, if not the next year. The draft law has already been shared, but it is a case of a sign-off by the Amiri Diwan, which is equivalent of the parliament, and the sign-off by the ruler of the country. The framework contains some binding provisions that there will be two tax rates, the standard rate of 5% and the reduced rate of 0%. But it permits that each country can adopt whatever kind of rates that it like to utilize or consider as rates of taxes. It is a very simple law when you look at the UAE and Saudi Arabia. And it is an area where countries in the region are looking to bring in more revenue for the country and accordingly bring in this value-added tax. Excise tax, this was introduced in 2019 in line with the Unified Excise Tax Treaty. It was primarily imposed on tobacco, energy drinks, and special purpose goods. And the rate of excise tax, as you would see, is in the range of 100% or 50%. Foreign direct investments, the country allows foreign direct investments up to 100% ownership in certain in industries other than except in certain security critical industries. Foreign companies can establish a branch in Qatar for the purpose of carrying out contracts concluded with a ministry, government authority, public institution, or institutions with which it owns a share. We do have a lot of global conglomerates that have set up their branches. We do have a lot of consulting companies and accounting firms that have set up their branches in Qatar. I myself work for a consulting organization, and most of the big names, big players that you see globally, the names of the big four are present in Qatar. It is a country that provides or encourages, as I said earlier, investment. Now, let us look at what are the various, before I move into the Indian CAs, I will talk about the Qatar financial setting up of a business in Qatar. So the two ownership models that you would have are setting up a business through the Ministry of Commerce and Economy, which we call as inland, and the other is through the Qatar Financial Center. The Qatar Financial Center is what we call an offshore-onshore regulator, which helps in regulating businesses through as a special economic zone. You all have heard about how Gift City is set up in India. It is the same concept with which the QFC was set up in Qatar. Why would companies want to set up in Qatar? It is a country that encourages business investments locally. Ease of doing business, it ranks close to rank 77 and it is a country which encourages a lot of businesses to invest. We do have an MOU where, as the Doha chapter of ICAI has an MOU with the Qatar Financial Center for export of accounting services, meaning we as ICAI can export accounting services in the form of people or CA firms to the state of Qatar. And we have got a lot, I will touch upon this as well, where we have a lot of Indian chartered accountant firms that are set up on a day-to-day basis. So the QFC is a regulator to establish onshore business. It allows 100% ownership. It allows 100% repatriation of profits, single window application, competitive tax system of 10%. It is very easy to set up business through the QFC. The sector's focus primarily is on financial services, sports, digital, and media. So if one wants to set up a CA firm, for example, in Qatar, and wants to have 100% ownership, you can definitely choose the QFC route. Of course, the other option of setting up business through the Ministry of Commerce and Economy still remains. However, 100% ownership is still not available on that route. The QFC route allows you various other benefits, at the same time giving you equal recognition as a legal entity, as a legal state with a legal status in Qatar. Now, I'll just go back to what is there for Indian chartered accountants and what are we doing in Qatar. So we have about over 400 Indian CAs in Qatar who senior positions across industries, be it CEOs, CFOs, CIOs, CTOs. I saw, you would have heard in my introduction that we spoke about the narrowing gap between technology and business. Today, we see a lot of Indian chartered accountants in Qatar working in the technology space, acting as CTOs and CIOs for organizations. Why? Why so? The understanding of the business coupled with the understanding of technology has helped organizations regard Indian chartered accountants as the best suited to take up these kind of roles. And we have CTOs and CIOs in large organizations, be it oil and gas, telecommunications, financial services, where Indian chartered accountants are taking up these roles. Many of the some of the banks have CEOs who are Indians. At the same time, we also have a lot of accounting firms, consultants, or consulting firms that have a lot of Indian chartered accountants that exist over there. The Doha chapter of ICAI is the first and oldest overseas chapter. It was established in 1981. There are a lot of opportunities in industry and in practice, as we see. There is a rise, as I said, in Indian CF firms setting up office in Qatar. I touched upon the MOU that we have to create more opportunities. The idea with which we signed up as the MOU with the QFC was primarily to create more accounting opportunities, or promote entrepreneurship, and set up facilitation of setting up of Indian CA firms in Qatar, which would be for a benefit of mutual benefit. One, for us to set up Indian CAs to set up firms over there and practice in Qatar. And second, at the same time, the country benefits from knowledge that we bring to the table. Our wide knowledge in terms of taxation, audit, transfer pricing, technology, risk is well regarded by the locals, and that's how we were able to successfully come up with this MOU. What are those opportunities that you would have when you set up a CA firm? Just as in India, you can set up firms practicing through the QFC very easily, providing services such as taxation, valuation, feasibility studies, transfer pricing, cybersecurity consulting, corporate governance, internal audits, anti-money laundering. However, when it comes to external audit, it requires an additional license. You're required to clear one single exam in locally, which then provides you the license to practice and sign as an external auditor, as a statutory auditor, if I may say. Other than that, it is very easy for Indian CA firms to set up branches, set up shops in Qatar. And there is just going by the number of firms that have been set up over the last 1 to 2 years, many of these have been routed through us, and we have actually, as the chapter, helped in coordinating the setup with the QFC. We see that this is primarily driven by the opportunities that the firms see in the country. And it provides them the base to nurture and garner these opportunities, and at the same time grow their practice in Qatar. ICB certification is nothing but an in-country value certification that is required by the local governments for organizations that exist in Qatar. So chartered accountants can provide ICB certification through an assessment of, it is primarily to assess the local assets that organizations have on their financials, the local resources that local people that they have, and then come up with a ICB score. So that's another area. An area of key interest that has been growing recently is on data and digital. There's a lot of automation and digitalization, digital transformation that's been occurring across all types of industries that exist in Qatar. And we see that there is opportunity for Indian firms to establish and practice in all these areas. What are your challenges when you look at establishing yourself as Indian CA firms in Qatar? Relatively higher cost of business. The cost of running or rental costs of setting up offices, the capitals of running, the working capital that you would need to run your firms is generally high. As I said, the cost of living is higher. When I say higher, I am comparing it with India. But at the same time, your returns are also higher because that's what you would be charging as fees to your clients as well. So the initial investment would be on the higher side. But definitely there are opportunities where banks are open to providing loans for firms to set up their offices and also practice in, and the QFC is very, very supportive of this in helping you connect with banks to get these financing services. It is a highly competitive market. You are competing with audit firms, accounting firms, consulting firms, which are of a global nature, and similar firms like Indian CA firms. You have other firms that are established as well. So it is a global market that you're competing against, and you need to be the best in the best to be really able to succeed and grow your business and grow your network in the market. The country is small, but at the same time, the opportunities are large. So when you look at that, the competition it's a highly competitive market. The third challenge, and we are, believe me, the chapter is working very, very hard on this along with the Indian Embassy, is the recognition of the CA qualification for visa purposes. It is a very peculiar situation currently, not only in Qatar, but I think in all the GCC countries, be it UAE, Dubai, Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the recognition of the CA qualification is still not there when it comes to considering this as a qualification for obtaining work permits. You will get your work permits based on your graduation or post-graduation degrees. And then you can set up CA firms and operate in those countries. So it is a peculiar situation where this qualification is not considered for work permits, but you can practice your trade in those countries. So we are working very hard with the Ministry of Education. Same goes for my counterparts in each of the other countries in the GCC. Recently, when we gathered at a conference in the GCC, with all of us chairman, this with the president of ICI also was to discuss this and to see how we can proceed on this further and to see to bring in the qualification recognition for the purpose of work permit. This is not a deterrent, believe me, because you as chartered accountants, once you are in the country, get the highest regard in any of these countries. Indian chartered accountants are regarded with the highest amount of respect when it comes to professionalism, to technical understanding and competence in comparison with any other counterpart that you would have from other countries. Our biggest challenge, of course, is from the CPA USA. But other than that, I think the Indian chartered accountants have been held with very, very high regard in all these countries. It is a culture shift. Of course, it is, if I may use that term, same, but different. It's similar to India in many senses, but at the same time, it's quite different. The culture, while dealing with locals, is vastly different. The way the locals want to interact with you is very different. It is still a conservative country. You do not have party goers and nightclubs in Qatar, but at the same time, other than that, everything else is possible in this country. So there is a cultural difference when it comes to the way business is perceived, the way tax structures are looked at. Even when you look at the banking sectors, you have commercial banks as well as you have the Islamic banks. So there are two different parallel structures that run. So it is important that we are able to embrace ourselves into this culture and look at how we can establish ourselves as Indian chartered accountants in sharing this or sharing our knowledge in the country. I would like to add a couple of other points in terms of challenges. And I would look at these as actually opportunities more than challenges. One, it is to be able to wait. You may not gain success immediately once you establish your firms in Qatar, primarily since you are new to the market, and gaining the profitability or success takes time. But once you see that trajectory growing, it continues to grow. And that is where I think it is important to stay pertinent and stay resilient to make sure that you would still continue successfully. And we've seen a lot of our members within the chapter actually being very successful as local chartered accountants, running their practice locally in Qatar. Some of them have, in fact, expanded their businesses into other regions and other countries in the region, and that has actually helped them grow further. The second point that I would also bring up is when we talk about what is the knowledge that we are able to bring to the table when what we have in India and what we can bring to Qatar, and our flexibility in adjusting to the different regulations and laws that exist. Let's take a simple example. The accounting standards followed in Qatar are IFRS majorly. We as Indian chartered accountants need to be flexible to adopt and to understand any of these new laws that come by, any requirements or changes that exist and that are locally applicable, so as to be able to communicate and assist clients locally on this. Thus, this is where they see us as someone who's able to showcase technical sound understanding as far as the local laws are concerned. We as the chapter, of course, will support you when, in any of the updates to local laws, but it is highly important as consultants, at least if you are in the practice business, to be able to stay up-tuned or upskilled as far as the local laws are concerned. And this applies to not only Qatar, but to any country outside India. Just as you would stay abreast in India, it is important to stay up to speed in any of these countries. Doha chapter of ICAI, what do we do and how can we help you as far as you looking at Qatar as a opportunity is concerned? We have various portals or platforms where we support. We have an e-Sahayata platform where we are able to connect our CA fraternity from anywhere to this local CA fraternity, share opportunities and your profiles with the local CA firms or people who work locally in organizations. And we act as a, middle sharing at the same time. If there are any requirements that do come by from the local organizations for Indian Chartered Accountants, we are able to share the relevant profiles. We don't solicit, but at the same time, we share opportunities. We support in connection with the QFC for the setup of CA firms. We are able to guide you to the concerned departments and the persons within the QFC to help you set up CA firms if you're interested in Qatar. Opportunity to connect with local CAs during networking sessions. Of course, there are, as I said, over 400 chartered accountants registered with the Doha chapter, and you will have a lot of opportunity to network with them. We've done that recently with a few budding or young chartered accountants who set up their firms in Qatar. And one of the examples I can give is based on our recent international conference that we had in October, where they were thankful for the amount of exposure and networking that they could get with just one event with us, where they could build and which would help them build or set up their practice in Qatar. General guidance on movement to Qatar and requirements in moving. We're happy to support. After all, we are all one single fraternity. We see ourselves as one single team. And at the same time, when we also talk about technical sessions, we do hold these regularly to update you about any requirements that do come by in the country. I spoke about practice. I spoke about the tax structure. I spoke about the economy. I also spoke to you about CA firms setting up. Now, when it comes to employment, and I think I will speak this without a slide, it is there are a lot of employment opportunities for Indian chartered accountants. Many of our chartered account chapter members, about 60% of them are in employment. When I say employment, they are working within various departments of government organizations, private organizations, semi-government organizations, or global conglomerates, or consulting firms just like me. How do you apply? Opportunities are available online. You directly reach out to these organizations. And of course, it then goes through a normal channel of interview and selection. Is there any challenge in terms of being an Indian chartered accountant? No, it is actually an opportunity because you would actually technically probably score higher than others. It is important then. But then what are the challenges in industry as compared to practice? The growth in industry. And when I say industry, let's look at it as three. One is industry, which is hardcore, joining organizations within the finance department, technology department. Then you have consulting firms and audit firms where you join in this employment. And then you have the practice. We touched upon the practice. Now, when you talk about industry, which is within organizations, probably the rate of growth would be slightly slower than what you would see. I won't say slightly, it is definitely slower than what you see in India, because nowadays everybody seems to be growing at a rapid pace in India in terms of up the ladder when you talk about levels. And other than that, I don't see any other challenge. Within consulting firms and accounting firms, you have the opportunity to be connected globally, work with multiple cultures, and at the same time, learn a lot. So here, the doors are open. So there are all these three avenues where you can join and seek opportunities in Qatar. And we believe that this is a country which one should look at in the region, and is a country that is progressive and looking towards growth. I was asked to touch upon regulatory framework, tax, and about the country and the economy in general. I have covered most of it. If there is anything specific, I'm happy to take questions as such in general. And in the meanwhile, I'm also happy to address any questions that you have of the region also. I'm sure there would be other chapters with whom you will have sessions. So I will, if there are any generic questions, I'm willing to accept, willing to take those. Other than that, thank you, NIRC, for this opportunity. It is our pleasure to be connected and we see ourselves as somebody that can help, or we can mutually benefit from this. We see that there is opportunity for our fraternity, and we'd like to work in mutual benefit, which is something which is in mutual benefit for all of us. So I think this is the right way, this is the right platform where we can share our thoughts. And I think well done, Team NIRC and CA Gaurav. I think thank you for this opportunity again. I am available for any questions, to take any questions. Thank you very much. Sangam,
Sir joining, Sangam sir joining, sir, please allow me.
Okay, meanwhile, let me, I see some questions on the chat. How much monthly rental for 2-room residential flat? Good question. It is, okay, let me put it in dollars, or, okay, in terms of rupees, probably. I think you would get a decent 2-bedroom flat in the range of 6,000 to 7,000 riyals. Let's put it as an average, 7,000 riyals. For a decent 2-room residential flat. At least that should be the case. I think you can do your conversion probably, but that's the 7 monthly rental. Do not compare it, or one of the key things, golden rules, is do not convert and compare. It doesn't work that way. But yes, that's to answer the first question. How much budget one should plan for first year towards expenses such as office setup expenses, includes rent and fees available? Okay, first question. So in terms of office rent, it's going to be much higher than residential rent, of course. How much of budget that you need to set up? I think this varies, and I think it's very hard to give you an exact number. The QFC's regulations in terms of setup are not very expensive, and even the annual fees that you pay to the QFC is close to only 500. I think it's about $3,000 right now, if I remember right. But that's the annual fees that you pay as regulator fees. Other than that, it all depends on how big a office you want to set up and what's the kind of business size that you're looking at. So it's very hard to give you a number for that. In terms of fees payable, of course, the fees are higher for services in Qatar for any professional services that you charge. What are the fees that are charged for audits and for accounting services are much higher than in India. What is the procedure for getting work permit for a Qatari company? Is it supposed to be initiated in India based on a job offer, invite letter from Qatari company, or can be obtained entirely by going to Qatar initially on tourist visa and getting it converted into a work visa? Good question. It was earlier possible to convert a visit visa, not a tourist visa, a visit visa to a work visa, but that was long, long ago. Now, if you want to get a work permit, you will have to get have an offer letter from the company. It can be a Qatari company or it could be an international company, that doesn't matter. And the work permit will be applied by that company for you. And then you get your residence permit. That is if you are in employment. If you are setting up your own firm, then you set up and get a license from the regulator, which comes along with a work permit as well as a residence permit for the persons that are partners or owners of that legal entity. Right? So it is not possible to come to Qatar on a tourist visa and convert that into a work permit. You may come to Qatar, seek opportunities, attend interviews, then agree with the organization that you will go back, and then they apply for your visas or residence permit. Who's this? Amit J. I hope your question is answered, Amit, relating to the visa. So another question. Okay, Q&A. How do you foresee business for financial valuation and goodwill impairment? Can Indian CA sign the valuation report in Qatar, or do we need local partner to sign the report like Saudi Arabia? So there's a lot of financial valuation opportunities. A lot of consulting organizations are providing this service. You can sign a valuation report when it comes to organizational valuation. Only when it comes to certification and when it comes to signing of balance sheets do you require a license. Do you need a local partner? If you are a QFC firm, you are allowed to handle consultancy in the space of valuation also. And the QFC provides for 100% ownership. If you can be specific on what sort of valuation you're talking about, then that can be better. Can CA be arbitrator, or how the CA can be helpful for getting execution of award? Pramod ji, can you elaborate on this question, please? Whether Indian award can be executed against the Qatar businessman. I think I need some elaboration on this question again. Can we work from India, or we have to set up firm in Qatar, or can we network with CA firm in Qatar and also with a firm and work with other countries in Saudi Arabia or in Bahrain, or set up companies in those countries? See, you can work from India. That's absolutely fine. But how are you going to get your business in Qatar? How are you going to get your connects in Qatar sitting in India? Why would a client provide business to a company that is based outside the country rather than someone that is based in the country? The biggest challenge is, if you are not a country that is incorporated in Qatar, there is a withholding tax that will be deducted from your final payment that you would receive from your client. And that is applicable in most countries globally. And that is something that will get cut when you get paid from your client. So if you ask, technically it is possible that you can work from India, but how successful you would be in gaining a network? Well, I have my questions. Can you build your network setting up the firm in Qatar? Of course. And that is why we believe that, and that is why we see a large number of firms setting up office in Qatar for the practice. Whether the firm can work for other countries in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain. Okay. Now, this is a thing that I'd like to highlight. Even though these are as small as states in India, each country is a separate sovereign nation. And you can operate, even though you may operate sitting in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, But again, you are not a legally established entity in that country. Each country is a sovereign nation by itself, has its own legal laws, and which you need to comply with. So to be legally set up in each of those countries, you will have to have offices in each of those countries. So by setting up in Qatar, it's like sitting in India and operating in Bahrain, for example. It's going to be the same. You all sit in Qatar and operate in Bahrain. So each of these is a separate legal sovereign country. So my recommendation, and if you look at the big fours, if you look at my organization, Protivity also, we do have separate offices in each of the countries. And the reason for that, again, is local presence, networking, and of course, payments, recognition that you're a local entity. When you're a locally established entity, it does make a big difference. Any link for start work with some Indian CA firms already established in Qatar? I mean, any source. You can separately write to me. I can give you some names of some Indian CA firms that are there or that have set up. Otherwise, you can go to the website of the Qatar Financial Center and look for CA firms, and by the name of it, try to understand if it's an Indian CA firm and give you the name. But when you mean link to start work, are you looking at joining those firms, or are you looking at, if it is a partnership, then it's a different thing. If it's joining, then it's a straightforward employment, just like any other employment is concerned. Please share your view on salary part. Okay. Salaries are, excuse me. See, it's a no tax salary, right? It is higher than in India. So, but it differs from industry and it differs from consulting. Salaries some of the companies give, most of the companies add up insurance, medical insurance, of course, that covers with salary. It covers your residency. It covers your annual air ticket back home as well. So the CTC to the company is definitely higher than in India. Probably, if I may give you an example of a consulting company, the salary may be in the range of 1.7, 1.8 times of what you would probably see in India as at a gross level. But also do understand that there is no tax here. So when it comes to the net, the 1.7 actually goes up a bit more. So the range is probably one, and this is from purely on the consulting side that I'm saying. It differs from industry to consulting again, but average would probably be in the range of 1.7%, 1.7 times of what you would see in India at junior to middle level. Please see chat box for question. Who's this? Rajesh Goyal. I'm sorry, sir. You said please see chat box for question. I can't see any. One moment. Okay, I answered. Sorry, that's fine. Now, Amit Joshi, what is the procedure for this one? I answered. Arbitrator, I answered. Sir, I do not have any contacts in Qatar. Do you suggest me to first go for job or practice? It all primarily depends on what you're looking for. Are you in practice or in employment in India? What is your outlook? Do you want to continue in employment, or you want to get into practice? If you want to get into employment, then share your profile with us and we can share it with the other organizations, or you can apply to organizations directly or through LinkedIn or various other job portals. If you want to practice, then you can come over to Qatar. We can connect you. You can attend one of our sessions. Maybe where you can meet local chartered accountants with whom you can get connected. And that would be probably one basis of networking. And then you locally build your connects as well. as I said, it takes time. That was one of the first challenge. That is one of the points that I highlighted and added in my challenge as well. And one of the key reasons for taking time is the network for when you come new into the country. And the CA chapter is one of the best places to network and gain your connects. How can I get data of CA firm who can provide the service in all GCC countries as I'm not getting the information? So what's the data that you need? All the CA firms, many of them provide services in all the countries. What sort of service are you looking at? And if you can type your answer and what is the data that you're looking at? Would you be able to help me search open positions? I'm sorry, my friend, I can't help you do that, but you can go to the website of, you mentioned Big Four, or go to their website, you will find opportunities there. Or you go to Job Hunters and they'll be able to help you with that. I'd love to help you, but I'm sorry, I can't do that. Your email or number for contacting. Okay, let me put my... Okay, the NIRC team will share you my contact details, my email ID, and you can reach out to me or my colleagues within the executive committee of the Doha chapter, and they will be happy to support. I can see one more. My Finex Advisor LLC is registered in Russell Kema Free Zone. So actually, I want to ask, what is the impact we need to consider in case of corporate tax that recently introduced in July? So you're talking about the UAE corporate tax in specific. I will leave this for my folks in the UAE to answer. To give you a brief answer, the UAE corporate tax is pan-emirate, which means it would apply to all the organizations within the Emirates in general. The applicability within the free zone, I would request you to specifically direct this question to the folks in the UAE so that you get an appropriate answer. I don't want to, get into that detail at this moment. What other additional opportunities are coming that a CA can take advantage of it? Rajak Berry. Sir, if you can again elaborate, what is your question in terms of what other additional opportunities? So the country is investing a lot globally. The country is growing on the financial services side. Oil and gas, of course, does exist. The country is growing in terms of infrastructure and construction. So these are the growing areas. As I said, education and healthcare is another area that exists. Other than this, these are the industries that are growing. Now, we also see a lot of growth in digital transformation and technology growth within the country. When you're seeing and opportunities that relate to consulting in these areas, be it technology consulting, be it digital, be it audit, be it
Sanjeev, I am audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think Vignesh ji की आवाज नहीं आ रही, I think.
Some issue with internet, sir.
Okay. So please, friends, hold down. He will join in some few minutes. Some internet issue is there. So friends, I want to add something here that those who really planning to move to Qatar and doing this kind of work. So I think Vignesh is with us. Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, I got dropped, Sakam. I think it's a network issue.
Please carry on, carry on.
Yeah, so I was asking the gentleman here, Mr. Berry, and I was explaining the industries. Sir, if you can be a bit clearer in terms of what you are looking at or you have my email ID there. Just share a question with me, or you can put it in the chat box now also. I'm willing to take it, but I just need some elaboration what you mean by other opportunities that are coming.
So I think Vignesh, all the
I think I
questions
answered all the questions, like VAT introduced in 2019. Sir, VAT is still not introduced. VAT still remains to be introduced in Qatar. But yes, it gives opportunity for the Indian CAs when it comes.
I think Vignesh, you have answered all the questions. Nothing is pending yet. Am I right?
I think I've answered all the questions. In
Yes,
case
yes.
there are anything,
Yes,
I'm happy
yes.
to take it offline.
Yes,
Please
yes.
share.
Yeah. Friends, we have also shared the email ID of Vignesh ji at chat box. You can note down and you can directly also approach him, ask your question through email ID to Vignesh. And he's part of the family of ICI only. So you feel free to ask your questions through email. So I think
I've also put the email ID of the Doha chapter.
as well.
So please, you can direct your questions here, or definitely one of us will be able to support you on this. See, our endeavor or our goal, just like what we're looking at in anywhere in the GCC, and I would say, I think that's what you'll hear everywhere else, is we want to see Indian chartered accountants really being present and the choice of professionals when it comes to the services that we can offer. And I think the way the ICI leadership is also looking at, this is that's our objective. We are here to support and we are here to help achieve that goal. And we're happy to support in whatever can help in achieving that goal.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vignesh. So friends, I want to add here something that if you want to go outside India, do some course there, or do you want to take some membership there? So sometimes you need a certificate of good standing from the ICI. Am I right, Vignesh? Is it mandatory
good.
from ICI?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yes, it is an important point. You need to have a certificate of good standing with ICAI. Many of the requirements do include that. So, that's a good point. Thanks, Sangam.
Yeah. So we can apply through certificate of good standing through SSC portal. We have a self-service portal. Through that we can apply there. There is a one only condition is there that you should complete your CPR. So I humbly request my all the members those who have joined, whether you have COP or not is not material. You should complete the required CPRs with required. So in case you don't have any certificate of practice, in that case every year you need at least 20 unstructured CPR, and unstructured CPRs can be obtained through giving self-declaration. So my humble request to, if you are really planning to go there, so look into that part also, so that you will not get any hurdles for getting the certificate of good standing. So friends, I think today's session is very elaborative and very informative. So I want to express sincere thanks to Vignesh ji for taking
My pleasure.
session from so far.
I know the way this came up when we met in GloPack, and I'm glad that this could materialize, and afterwards, meeting you and Gaurav, and this could materialize. And happy to share any more information that any of our members would require. That's the idea really.
Yeah. So because I want to appreciate this fact that whatever CA family we have all across the globe, so we are so much comfortable to interact with each other, for assisting each other. That is tremendous. Basically, I never see in any other profession that suppose I have to go Varanasi for some professional work. I see the CEO office. I can go there. I can ask their help. If I want to take some printout, I need some help. They can very easily happy to help. So this kind of bonding are there in the ICI family.
Absolutely. I'll tell you something, and that happens globally as well. In fact, one of my somebody was going to somewhere in Europe. I don't remember the country, and then he wanted a connect in that country because he was going on tourism. He reached out to the local chartered accountant there, and he could support. When it's not necessarily always business. We are here as a fraternity.
Yes.
And we are in 85 cities in 48 countries now. I think we want to keep the CA flag flying high. And I think that's what the president has also said in many of his talks. And I think we are very, very open and easily reachable and want to help. I see that happening. When we were in India for GloPack, I saw a lot of help from all you guys in India. And, you will see the same once you come and to our come here as well. So welcome and hoping to see you all.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vignesh, for so kind words. So with this note, friends, I thanks to Vignesh from Team NIRC for taking this valuable session. And this kind of family is the strength of this ICI. So that year by year we are growing. Now, right now we are around 4 lakh chartered accountant and more than 12 lakh students. So our family is going year by year. So if we make a total, so it is more than 16 lakh. So that make us India's the first largest accounting body. Earlier we are second largest. Now we are the first largest accounting body in the world, having this much of membership and this much of student. And Vignesh, recently we have also issued one logo. In that logo, we have mentioned CA India. Might be you also
You
saw
would have
that.
seen that my slides had that logo.
Yeah, I checked it. I checked it.
I
Therefore,
changed the logo to this one, and
yeah,
that is very nice that we have India there. It brings
yes.
up the
So
India
that
thing over
also
there.
give a feeling of patriotism as well while we are using the CA India. So the branding will go more so high. So thank you so much, Vignesh. Now I request my team and also thanks to my all the participants for joining in this busy schedule. Might be Vignesh, you are not aware that 31st December is the last date for filing the all the income tax return for financial year
Of
22
course,
to 23.
I filed my return in India when I still file my
Okay,
return. So
okay, okay.
I do.
And there is a
I
last date
do.
for filing GST 99C, which is a very critical important document. So 31st December is last date for that. And still so many participants are there for join us. So thanks to all the participants for making us encourage by your participation, because we feel motivated whenever we have this large number of participation in any this kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And believe it, it's the same. As a chairman of a chapter, I can say that your attendance is the support that we all get. It's a tough time, I know, busy time for all of you. Wish you all a happy new year in advance. And, make 2024 see more chartered accountants globally.
Thank you so much, Vignesh, and same to you for the Happy New Year. Now I request my team, Sanjeev, kindly show the certificate of appreciation. So, Vignesh ji, please accept this, a certificate of appreciation and certificate of recognition from the team NIRC. And
Thank you very
my
much.
team will, yeah, email you this. Although generally we used to send a memento as well to the postal address. I don't know how it is possible to send you or not. My team will connect.
I will see you in Delhi next time. And that time
Oh,
we
definitely.
can.
Whenever you come to Delhi, please let me know. I will arrange your memento there, sir. There is no difficulty in that, basically.
More than memento, it is the pleasure of being able to communicate with our members. Was memento to
Yes.
raha memento, but the importance is to be able to communicate. And I thank you all for this opportunity.